welcome to my channel. I'm Jordan, and today I'm going to be doing the stay-at-home book tag, which I was tagged to do by Karis at Library of Karis. And this is a tag started by Mary at Paperback Mary, kind of in relation to everything that's happened right now. Obviously we're all stuck at home, and it's just questions about dealing with that. So the first prompt is laying in bed, and it is a book that you have read or could read in one day. And the first one that comes to mind for me is The Other People by C.J. Tudor. This book I read in March, and I literally read it in one day. It is a thriller. It's about a man who is driving home from work one day when he sees in the car in front of him, he sees his daughter's head pop up and sit and mouth the word daddy and then get dragged back down, and then he is basically looking for that car and trying to save his daughter. And that book is compulsively readable. I devoured it. I really wanted to get to the end to know the ending. Unfortunately, I just gave it an average rating of 3, so the ending did not live up to what I was hoping it would, but I read it all in one day just because I wanted to know the end that badly. The next prompt is snacking, so a book that is a guilty pleasure read. And for me, that is any YA dystopian book. I've always loved dystopias and sci-fi books and things that aren't necessarily full-on fantasy but have a little bit of an element of reality in them, but in a slightly, scientific, futuristic, apocalyptic world. And some books that come to mind are Divergent. I read that pretty much when all of the books came out. The Fifth Wave is a series that I've read the whole thing. I know I've also read the whole Delirium series. All of those I just love. I kind of think that they're not necessarily objectively good books, but I just have a soft spot in my heart for them. The third prompt is Netflix, which is a series you want to start. And like I said, the only series that I usually read are dystopian or sci-fi series. And so a couple that I have in mind are the Selection series, which I do plan on reading in May, and the Shatter Me series, which I have only purchased the first book so far. I'm a little nervous to fully dive into that series because it's so long, but it sounds like something that would be up my alley, and I hope that I can get to that series sometime. Prompt 4 is Deep Clean, which is a book that has been on your TBR for a long time. And one that comes to mind, I'm looking at my bookshelves right now, is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller, and that's a classic that just really intimidates me. I own it and I want to read it and I want to know all the references that there are to it, but it's so long, and I think I've tried to start it before and the writing is just dense or confusing or something, and I don't know, I'm nervous to get into it, so I've been putting it off and putting it off, and I hope that I can eventually just knock it off my TBR. Next prompt is Animal Crossing, which is a book that you bought specifically because of the hype, and that is definitely Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I actually just read that for my owls to fulfill the prompt of a book that's outside of my comfort zone genre-wise, and that definitely is. So Carry On is a fantasy book that, as far as I understand, is a retelling or reimagining of Harry Potter. And I read it for the owls, like I said, and it's just not for me. I should have known by the description that it wouldn't be for me, but I have just heard it recommended so many times that I wanted to read it, and I'm glad that I have, just so that I can say I have, but I can't say that I enjoyed the reading experience. So I definitely won't be continuing on in that series or picking up similar books to that are hyped that I know I will not enjoy. Next prompt is Productivity, which is a book that you have learned from or has had an impact on you, and the book that comes to mind for this is I Shouldn't Be Telling You This by Kate White, which is a nonfiction book that basically is a complete guidebook to women in their careers. So it starts with tips on, how to interview, how to create a resume, how to land your first job, and then it continues on kind of through your career and tips on getting into management and to being, successful throughout your entire career. So I thought that book was super helpful. I know I will reference it many times in the future as I'm navigating my own career. And what I really enjoyed about it is that the author comes from the perspective of, I think, the magazine industry, which is pretty much the direct opposite of what I work in, which is engineering. And yet most of the tips still applied to me. I still gained a lot of insight for that book, so I would totally recommend that to anybody who is navigating a career and who could use some advice. Next prompt is FaceTime, which is a book that you have been gifted. And honestly, I buy most of my books. I haven't been gifted very many, but probably the most recent one was a book that I got for Christmas, and that is Verity by Colleen Hoover. And I actually asked for this book because I had originally originally gotten it from my library when I read it, but it was my favorite book of last year, so I wanted to have a copy of it, so I asked my husband to buy me the book, Verity. And Verity is a thriller about this woman who is hired to complete the book series of a very popular author who has been in an accident and isn't able to complete her own book series. So this girl moves into that author's house and is digging through her office and her notes on the series, and she stumbles upon a manuscript that hasn't been published, and that kind of reveals some disturbing things about that author. I thought it was super thrilling. I absolutely loved the twists and just the suspense that it created, and so I highly recommend that book if you have not read it. The next prompt is self-care, which is something that you do to take care of yourself. Not book related, I'm assuming. And this for me is watching TV shows. I have a few TV shows that I watch religiously, and they're pretty much competition reality shows are my type of show. So I think of The Challenge on MTV, or Survivor, or The Amazing Race, or The Bachelor. Those are all kind of my not so guilty pleasure TV shows, and those are the ones that I watch all the time and that I do to completely turn off my brain and just indulge. And the bonus question is an upcoming release that you are excited for, and I am very excited for Ruth Ware's new thriller, which is called One by One. I don't know much about it. I don't think she's released much about it, but as far as I know, it centers around a corporate retreat that happens up in the mountains, and I think it's something like a classic whodunit murder mystery, and I'm super excited. So that is it for my stay-at-home book tag. I am not going to tag anybody specifically because I think it's been around for a little while now, so I'm sure a lot of people have been tagged, but if you are watching this and if you like doing tag videos and you haven't been tagged, consider yourself tagged. Go ahead and film your stay-at-home book tag. But other than that, I don't have anything else, so thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.